Before you can create a healthy relationship with others, you first have to create a healthy relationship with yourself. Welcome to Let's Talk About It with your host, Dr. Janie Lacey. Janie is a nationally respected psychotherapist, and on this show, she and her featured guests will help you discover and break patterns in your life that can contribute to self-sabotage and unhealthy relationships. Now, here is Dr. Janie Lacey.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It with Janie Lacey. You know, there are so many couples who I have encountered during these coronavirus times requesting appointments who realize that they've been surviving in their relationship with the busyness of life. And when the world essentially was given a timeout, many couples looked at each other, realized not only do I not know you, but I don't even like you. Not to mention all the affair discoveries, addiction relapses that couples have experienced. So we all need a little hope and inspiration that a healthy love relationship built on faith and respect does exist. And I couldn't think of another high-profile couple who embodies this than to have on Let's Talk About It with Janie Lacey, other than Orlando and Giorgina Rolon. Orlando is the chief of police, and Dr. Giorgina Pinedo-Rolón is Mayor Dyer's Director of Multicultural Affairs. And it is with distinct pleasure I welcome you both to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jenny. I really appreciate the invitation. We are honored to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you. You know, Orlando and Giorgina, you know, in a world where movies and music and many forms of entertainment highlight a lot of toxic and sometimes glorified dysfunctional relationships, it's a breath of fresh air to witness such a powerful couple who demonstrate such togetherness and strong partnership, which is grounded in faith, and where a strong masculine husband, the chief of Orlando Police Department, consistently credits his beautiful wife with the person and the professional he is today. So Orlando, could you tell us a little bit about the story behind that constant confession?
I'll be honest with you. You know, when you look back at life and you look at how you view life and how you embrace certain things in life, sometimes you don't make the right choices. And when Giorgina came into my life, she actually made me refocus my attention on the things that were important. Things such as career, things such as work is not all that you should strive for. So there has to be a balance, and that's what she brought into my life. She allowed me to basically develop into the person that I am today. I credit her 100%. I think my world would have been much different if Giorgina had not entered into my life.
I just love that. I think you are such a role model for many husbands that allow in a healthy relationship the influence of their wife. And I always hear this saying that, you know, wives is kind of like wear the neck and the husband is the head, right? You need both of them to really operate. Yeah. So I'm wondering, Giorgina, can you share with us just how does two strong personalities make such a great marriage work? I mean, the two of you are trailblazers in your own right, both alpha, so to speak. So what are some of the main key ingredients that make this abundant relationship work?
Well, I think first of all, faith. Okay, that's the most important thing in our relationship. And the second one is respect. We respect each other. We respect each other's opinion, even though sometimes we don't agree with each other in certain points. But I respect his thought, his opinion, his whatever he has to say about a subject or about a situation. In the same way goes with him. And I think that the key of this is communication, respect, faith first, communication, and respect. When you have respect with each other and you understand each other, you don't always have to be right. You know, that's, oh, I always have to be right. No, because you always have to compromise. So I give in one time, he give in on the next time, you know, and I think that's the healthy, it's the healthy things on our relationship. You give in a little bit, the other person give in a little bit. So you don't have to be always right, even though sometimes we want to be right. But no, we always respect each other's opinion. We can disagree and we respect each other. But I think one of the most important things about us is that we communicate with each other very well. And when it's time for him to be on the spotlight, it's his time. I'm behind him, supporting him, giving him all my support, all my love, all my cheers. And when it's time for me to shine, or my time, he is the same way. You know, we always supporting each other. And sometimes in nowadays, that's hard to find because everybody wants to be better than others. You know, if he's better than me, I am right there because I get some of that too, because I am good too. So it doesn't matter. To me, his success is my success. My success is his success. I think the key of a good relationship is what I just told you: faith, communication, patience, and respect. But respect above all.
I love that. I love how you outline that faith and respect, because those are foundational. Because when you truly respect your partner, your spouse, then to what Giorgina is sharing, then when you have conflict and then when you have disagreement, the respect will still be there. I mean, yes, you'll be irritated and we have emotions and those types of things. But when there's a foundation of respect, then you can see that we both want to resolve this and we're better together, and not having the competition in relationships. Because just doing a lot of couples counseling, when someone has insecurity, to your point, and the other person is shining, and then that makes them feel inadequate, or I'm not doing as much, and they really can't be there and supporting of their partner. You know, so there was this quote that in an interview with Will Smith, where he explains how he makes things work with his wife, Jada. And he said, when we got started, we both truly connected on wanting to be better. That's where it all started. There were other people that we were dating and other people that we were attracted to, but there was a commitment to consistently be better. That was what we connected on. Our whole world and relationship was that, hey, I know that I may not be all of that today, but what I'm going to do is lay around and not keep working to be better to deserve you. So with that being said, you know, I know without a doubt that it's the parts that make the coupleship work. So then how do the two of you, busy careers, your trailblazers, your, you know, grandparents, you got family, got all these different things going on. So how do you work on yourself individually so that you can be a better spouse to each other? What does that look like in your home?
You know, I think we respect the fact that we have responsibilities when it comes to, you know, what we have chosen as our profession and the things we're focusing on when it comes to our profession. But when we come home, we disconnect. We are homebodies. You know, we often will go, obviously prior to COVID-19, we would go to functions and had the privilege of going together because being part of the city. So there was like a dinner night out to an event or a function when we would do that. But when we come home, we love to sit on our couch. We love to watch TV. We love to do things together. And I think that's been part of the key. The fact that we have not allowed for other distractions to get in the way of our relationship when it comes to what we obviously accept as being important. That as much as we want to be dedicated to what we do for a living, we also have to be committed to supporting each other in when it comes to our relationship and nurturing our relationship. And we're not always going to agree to disagree to things, you know. Happy wife, happy life is my motto. but the bottom line is sometimes, you know, we're far from perfect, but sometimes we do have discussions, and I'm the hard-headed one who chooses, you know, sometimes not to agree with her when I know she's right. But in the end, I'm telling you, communication, dedicating time to each other, I think is vital when you have two busy people as part of a relationship.
You know, I think that when we got together, when we started dating, he was after me for 3 years, just to make the record straight. He I don't know how he tolerated every time he was, no, I'm busy, I cannot do this. You know, I was in Telemundo. Our first date was on Valentine's Day. Well, no, that was not our first date. That's not true. His idea of a first date, I was doing the anchoring in Telemundo because that's what I used to work. And he calls me, he's like, hey, what are you doing for Valentine's Day? And I'm like, I'm not doing anything, I'm working. And he goes, well, after your newscast. And I'm like, I'm going home. And he goes, well, we have some friends. I'm going to have some dinner. You want to come? He's like, yeah, do you want me to pick you up? No, I go over there. I drive. So I drove over there and he's like, oh, we're going to go out for dinner and all that kind of stuff. So the first thing that he does is give me this card and this gift. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And he goes, well, it's the day of the friendship. And I'm like, friendship? Well, yeah, but no. So he gave me this gift. I opened it and it was a diamond necklace. So I went back and I gave it back to him and I said, I'm sorry, but we are nothing. So I cannot accept this. You know, we're friends, but this is not acceptable to me. So the wife of the other police officers were saying, are you crazy? You never said no to diamonds. And I'm like, listen, I am sorry, but I cannot accept that to him. And I said, please forgive me. I don't want to be unpolite or be thankful of that you thought of me like that, but I'm sorry, I cannot give you that. Well, so after that, it was, oh, okay, you want to go out for coffee, or do you want to go out for this or that? And
it was part of my fishing tactic, and once she was hooked, she was hooked.
Oh, you're baiting her.
But I think going back to your question, when we started dating, we made a promise to each other that one day a week we were gonna have for ourselves. No matter what, we're always gonna have a day or two. It was on Fridays. Every Friday, we were looking forward to our date. That was our day, and he continued to do it even on COVID-19. It's still our date. Even if it's watching a movie on the couch or just laying down doing nothing, going to the patio, see the birds, whatever. But it was a day for the two of us. We continue to this day after 12 years, we continue to this day doing that. So to us, time for ourselves, away from our work and other responsibility, is really important. And I'm trying to teach him how to meditate, because meditate really relaxes me. And we go for walks, you know, that way also we put our mind in something else. That's how we do it. But I'm trying to get his mind to, because you never can shut your mind down, off, sorry. But I'm trying to convince him how to do more meditation, but it's hard for him. He cannot shut that mind off. So he can turn it off. So, but that's how I do it. Or I prepare a tub with salts and flowers and all the stuff that you want to put in there so that he can relax. And after he relaxes, I go and take my bath. So things like that, just to take care of each other.
Oh, it sounds like you got some good systems down, and it sounds like the police chief likes to Netflix and chill with his lady. That's awesome. So since you mentioned it, I mean, how did the two of you meet?
Well, that's a funny story. Yeah, because you see, I have a story and he has his story. So my story was that I knew him. I saw him a couple of times. And when I started working at Telemundo, that's when I met him, because he was the PIO, the public information officer, and I was one of the news anchors, also the reporter for Telemundo. So I interview him all the time. I will correct him all the time, his Spanish, because his Spanish was not correct. So I said, sir, could you please repeat it this way, because people would not understand you. And people were saying, my cameraman said, are you correcting the PIO? And I'm like, yeah, he's not saying it right. So I wanted him to look good. I want people to understand what he was trying to say, because he would say it on his Spanglish, half English, half Spanish, so and things like that. But my version is that I met him when he was a PIO. His version was when I was Miss Florida in 1999. He saw me getting out of a limo, and that's the way. So go ahead.
At a festival, is what I recall. But the bottom line is, who would have thought? Back then, the thought, of course, never crossed the mind that one day we would eventually end up together. So leading up to that date, there was friends of mine who said, hey, would you like to go with us? I'm like, I don't have a date. I don't want to go. Well, they rented a limo, this, that, and the other. So that's when I called her and said, hey, would you like to come? And so it was a Valentine's Day limo gift, but worked. Again, it was part of my tactics.
Strategy.
So.
Well, something worked, obviously.
Yeah, it did. Persistence.
But we knew each other from work, didn't know each other as people. Knew what we did for a living, but not necessarily how we were as persons.
So that was the 3 years that you referenced with him chasing you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So a few things, there's another quote that I like from Michelle Obama. She talked about marriage being hard work, and even the best of marriages require a lot of work, even if you're married to your soulmate who has very few flaws, is what she'll say. And she talked about building a life with a person other than yourself and dealing with all of the bumps and the bruises and the joys and the pains that go along with life that creates the natural state of marriage. And it's a challenge. So what has been the greatest challenge that you both had to endure that you're now thankful for because you went through this, that it's made you stronger and better together as a result?
So, I'm going to be honest. I think the one obstacle that we overcame was those who were on the fence or on the sidelines who thought that our relationship or marriage would never last, that our lives were so different before we came together that no one, actually, we heard that there was some betting going on. Oh, they won't last a year, they won't last 2 years. And here we are after 12 years. It looks like we got married. It feels like we are newlyweds. We truly feel that we are at the peak of our marriage when in fact there's so much, we know that there's so much growth yet to come, but everything has been so positive. But overcoming a lot of the challenges that because of work and because of just the environment, overcoming that, I think made us even stronger when it comes to a relationship. But there's one thing I believe that I just share with my daughter and her boyfriend. And when you go into a relationship, you should never go into a relationship thinking that you're going to be able to change someone. If there's something about that person that when you first meet and when you're dating, you don't like, you better accept that when you go into that relationship. And if you're going to make it a marriage, I think you should go into it understanding that if this is the person I have chosen and this is the way the person is, this is the person I'm going to choose to live with. There are a lot of things that probably Giorgina does not like about me, that, whether it's bad habits of leaving a cup on the counter when I'm supposed to put it in the sink or something like that, or even the way I use my utensils while eating. But she has accepted the fact that there are certain things that she can't change about me. Likewise, there are certain things that, when she tells me, why don't you do this? I know it's going to come, I know it's going to happen, but I still do it. I have accepted the fact that she's going to call it out on me. But so I think that's what's made it even more special. We understand each other. We know things we like, don't like, but we accept those.
You know what I think is kind of funny, because a lot of people say you start looking like your partner or your husband or your wife after years. Well, I have got some things from him that I do now that I'm like, oh my God, I'm becoming Orlando. So, but I think one of the things that, when he said about the dishes, for example, I don't like to go to bed without nothing on the sink. So even if it is a cup or a fork or anything, I just like to have it clean because I don't like it stuff around. So I'm a very neat person, he can tell you. Extremely neat. My nephews and nieces, they know when they come over here, my sisters and my brothers is like, man, I should have them living with you for a week so they will, be so organized, But I'm not perfect, but what he said, I think it, accepting each other and respecting each other's way of being is a key. He said something that is so true. I was on the conversation with our daughter and her boyfriend, and you cannot change somebody. People can't change their behavior, but the way that they are, they can, because they lose who they are. They're not that person anymore. And I fell in love with a person that it is right next to me. You know what I mean? Is this individual with all his great things. he's not flawless, but he's almost perfect to me. I don't say that very often, because if not, he's, I don't want him to know that very much, but he's almost perfect to me, because he's my rock, he's my inspiration, he's my best friend, he is my husband, he's the person that I tell him all my secrets, all my concerns, all my fears, with no restriction. I can be who I am with the person that I love, and he accepts me the way that I am. So I hope that answered your question.
Another key ingredient is acceptance. So
Yep.
not the potential of, but who they are right there, then and now, and making adjustments. Because you mentioned, habits. And when you're living together, you have a life together, you have different habits, you can make adjustments, but essentially just letting people be who they are, and letting them feel loved and accepted for that is a key ingredient. So I think that's an excellent point that I want people to really focus on. Because I get a lot of premarital couples that we really kind of drill down to it. Sometimes it's the potential of their future together, or where they see each other going, versus the person. If this person doesn't grow, or they don't become anything other than the person in front of me, can I truly accept them? And I think that's a really foundational question that a lot of couples need to ask themselves. And then you kind of led into, it said that not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. So, you mentioned a couple of elements, but how did both of you maintain a friendship throughout this journey of marriage and busy careers and a lot of stuff going on? How do you maintain that?
I think it comes down, in all honesty, to being homebodies. And to each their own, but there are some couples that have, the husband relationships and the wife relationships, and every once in a while they merge together, but we tend to do everything together. And if one is going to be doing something, the other is present. That's the way we want it. That's the way we like it. That's the way we like to live our lives. I think in this world, or the world that we live in today, is real easy to get into and get out of relationships. It's become almost the norm. And that's not our upbringing. Yes, we come from, this is our second marriage, but I think what led us to the point where maybe we decided this is not the way of the future, and we need to part our ways, was unique to her, was unique to me. But relationships have always, for us, been very, very important, especially our marriage. Learning from our past experience, applying those to our current experience. I'm telling you, I cannot even fathom the idea of somehow living my life without Giorgina by my side, or me by her side. And the type of support that we give each other, it just comes real natural. It's not something that we have to work hard at. I don't know if I can explain that very well, but the point being is that once you meet that person and you feel that that person is the person that you want to live the rest of your life with, I think it hits you real quick when you know that that is in fact the case. Again, when it comes to Giorgina, I don't know what the heck I did to deserve her. I know that I'm very happy for it, and I am going to make sure that this gift that I've been given, that I cherish for the rest of my life. So,
he and I'm getting emotional here, but he told me not too long ago, like 2 to 3 years ago, something that his father told him when he met me. Want to tell the story?
So when I bring Giorgina over to my parents' house, and my dad had never done this before. And mind you, now I was married, divorced for a while, and then Giorgina comes into my life, and or I come into her life, and I bring her to my parents' house, and my dad pulls me aside and says, "Hey, listen, you need to settle down." And he had never, ever said that to me before. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Those are strong words coming from my dad when it comes to this. So that was the first clue that I was on the right track.
I love my father-in-law, my mother-in-law. I lost my parents when I was young, like on my 20s and my early 20s and my early 30s. And I it was the year 2003 when I lost my mom, my dog, and I got divorced at the same time within 3 weeks. And honestly, I thought that the world was coming down on me. And it was a struggle, especially losing my best friend who was my mother, because I lost my father prior to that. My parents were married for 50 years. And I knew that my mom was going to die soon because they were inseparable. So I had that fear for those 3 to 4 years after my dad passed away. So I thought that nothing will take that pain away. But after a while, my faith, my work, because I dedicated my time to work, to the community, and give myself to the community for those 3 years that he said, was the best thing that I could ever done. And God gave me another chance to have an incredible soulmate, because honestly, I feel that even though that is weird to say this, but I feel like I'll always be married to him. Like I didn't have my previous marriage. So I feel that some people don't believe that you have a soulmate, but it does exist. He is my soulmate.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is a few nuggets I want to pull out. One is that you truly like each other as friends. But then I'm also hearing that, God really made beauty from ashes, right? You both had losses and then you found each other, and all of these beautiful things of respect and acceptance and friendship. And then also just isolating yourself in a good way, because sometimes people can allow so many voices and so many influences into their relationship, which can now implant things and can make it toxic. So truly putting each other first and doing what's good in that sense. So, we are going to take a 2-minute break, and I'm loving this conversation with City of Orlando Police Chief Orlando and his beautiful, beautiful wife, Giorgina. So we are going to be back in 2 minutes after our commercial break, and we are going to keep digging in for them to help us understand what really makes this powerful couple work.
Are you often attracted to unavailable partners? Feel like you can't stay but can't leave a toxic relationship? Obsessed with thinking about a current or former lover? Feel resentful that you're always taking care of the other person? The Woman Redeemed Therapy Program is for women who want to break free from toxic relationship patterns so they can find the love they truly deserve. This program is a safe, nurturing environment essential for building self-worth and acquiring the tools to work through challenges and create your best self. We invite you to begin the journey today to start building the new you. Call 407-622-1770 or visit lifecounselingsolutions.com. That's lifecounselingsolutions.com.
Let's talk about it with Janie Lacey, and we have our power couple here with us today, opening the doors to their home and letting us know what makes their relationship work, because we all want to know, how do marriages that are built to last work? And I think about in Sheryl Sandberg's book Lean In, that she famously wrote, when it comes time to settle down, that we want to find someone who wants an equal partner, someone who thinks women should be smart, opinionated, and ambitious, someone who values fairness and expects, or even better, wants to do his share in the home. That these men exist, and trust me, over time, nothing is sexier for a woman. So Orlando, how do you support your lovely, beautiful wife's pursuits and her ambitions while taking care of yourself in such a high, stressful position?
I know how to do dishes. I know how to mow the grass. I know, in all honesty, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, my goal is to obviously make sure that she taps the most that she can to be successful, right? That during challenging times is when you probably grow the strongest together. And I'm talking when there are challenging times in our world. Think back with 9/11, when you think back when the economy crashed and what have you. Giorgina went through a transition at one point back in the 2008 era, and I told her, why don't you set up your own company? You have the ability to connect with people. You have the ability to have people engage with you. set up your own public relations company. And sure enough, she did. And she did very well with this company that led to her getting into the politics arena as far as helping with campaigns, allowed her to meet or actually work with Mayor Dyer, because she had met him before that when she would interview him during his political career. So I think for me, it brings me joy to see her succeed. So my part has always been that whenever I can and whenever I'm able to encourage her or support her during the process, that to me is the most satisfying part of my portion of the relationship.
So, and for me, when I met him, he was a lieutenant for 9 years. And when we got married, I told him, I said, hey, you need to finish your college degree. You need to do this. Oh, I can't, I'm too busy, I cannot. And I said, yes, you can, you're gonna do it, you're gonna finish. No, I can't. You know, sometimes I will go struggling to getting a new, because I lost my job. So I have to, you know, reinvent myself thanks to him. He believed in me so much that he pushed me to do this and pushed me in a good way. And so I did it, and it was very successful company. So I told him the same thing. You need to finish your college degree, because he had an associate, and I said, you need to do this. No, I can't, it's too much, it's overwhelming. I said, you can. I will have to run and get books in the library for him to do research when he will come back to work. And I push him to be successful. So I said, what do you want to be? What are your goals? And he will become a captain. And I'm like, what do you mean, captain? I said, you are material for a chief of police. And he goes, what? And I was like, yeah, you are material for a chief of police. You need to educate yourself. You need to read. You need to get courses. You need to go and ask, look for a mentor. Look for somebody who can support you and give you guidance. So he did it. I mean, I could have said, well, if you don't want to be there, what do you mean? No, I pushed him to the right direction, that I thought that he had the potential. And I believe that he was chief of police material. And that's proof, this is proof that he was, and thanks to the trust of Mayor Dyer, he became chief of police, because he knew, not because he was Hispanic, that was icing on the cake. It was because of his, talent and his experience and the work that he had done through these 27 years that he has been with the city of Orlando.
But part of that motivation that inspired me to obviously follow her push and recommendations for me to try to achieve that was also watching her. Here's someone who came here to the United States with English as her second language, who began to learn English by watching Sesame Street, went on to get her master's degree, went on to work in television, Disney, went on to get her PhD while taking care of me and pushing me to achieve my goal. That inspired me also to go beyond what I personally felt were my limits. I definitely did more than what I thought I could do in this process.
Doctor, I think that, when he became captain, because he was a lieutenant for 9 years, and a year after he graduated and did all that, he became captain. A year after that, immediately, he became deputy chief. 4 years after that, he became the chief of police. So that's, I believed from the beginning that he was that kind of person, because of the integrity and the kind of man that he is, that he was, was perfect for that position. He was saying that he was going to be happy he was captain. And I said, no, you have more than that. Really think so? Yeah.
Remember, a TV, a couch, home, I'm happy.
And that's such a beautiful thing when you can see truly someone's greatness in them, even in the moment when they don't see it for themselves, and to have someone in your corner who's rooting for you, who's pushing you. And then, so there lies why we hear you always giving credit to your beautiful wife.
Yeah. I honestly, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be the person that I am if it hadn't been for her, not just professionally, but as a human being.
That's beautiful. And Giorgina had shared a picture with me that I will share on the networks, but I'm wondering if you can give me a little background story to that picture where you guys are embracing so tightly. It just, when I'm looking at that picture, I can see the emotion in it, not even knowing what's going on, but it's definitely apparent.
So
what's the story behind that?
It was the day that Mayor Dyer announced who the new incoming chief was, obviously me, and I'm giving my remarks, and I'm not one. I do sometimes get emotional, but it's rare that that happens. And I started breaking down when I was talking about Giorgina during that. Wasn't even my swearing in ceremony. It was just an announcement that I was going to become the next chief. And as soon as I was done, the mayor was going to continue. And I said, excuse me for a second. And I went down and gave her a hug. And that's the picture they took before I went back up on the stage.
And that was our 10th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
That day was our 10th wedding anniversary.
Correct.
So it was a lot of emotions at that moment. And the person who took that, I'm sorry to get emotional. The person who took that picture is somebody who have seen all of us, the two of us, who knows us from different ways. He worked for the city, and I used to work at Telemundo when I met him. And he is Ed Richard. He's the photographer, the main photographer for the city. And he took that picture and he sent it to me 2 days after all this happened. And she said, look, this picture it means the world to me because I took that picture. I know that you're gonna treasure that picture forever. And so I printed it and I have it on our family room. And that picture reminds me how much he means to me. And those 10 years anniversary is a year that I'm never gonna forget, but not because he got promoted, but because the love and the unity that we felt that day, it was beyond words. It's not that we have not felt it before, but it was that moment. It was so significant because we share with 120 people that were in that room our 10th wedding anniversary, you know? So that have a lot of meaning to me and to us because of that. So we usually go on a cruise and celebrate our anniversary, just the two of us, but to spend that day or at least the part of the day in the morning with people that mean a lot to us, that is our co-workers, our friends, and it's hard to explain. I don't know how to explain it. I think the picture says it all.
It does say it all because you get to see the emotion of it, but it was a milestone, and so many different positive things that forever changed your life were happening. And then the two of you intimately, it was your 10-year marriage together, and that alone being something to celebrate. And then I also like that, Orlando, that you pointed out, because I think men need to hear this, that it's okay for men to cry.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're not made out of steel, although sometimes we think we are. And I think, you know, in part, we also at that moment recognized how much work and preparation went into that moment, to that day, to be able to be recognized by Mayor Dyer or be selected by Mayor Dyer for that position. It was definitely an earned process. I feel very blessed to have been given this opportunity to serve in this capacity. But the work leading up to it, it was something that took a lot. But again, it was possible because of the type of encouragement and backing that I had from Giorgina. And so it's weird, but when that emotion kicked in, it was like I couldn't speak. I couldn't say a word.
Couldn't.
Yeah. but took me a moment to compose myself.
The mayor started applauding, so that people started applauding too. So to give you time to recoup.
It also sounds like it embodies just intimately the support and the love that the two of you have, that embrace, that picture, that if someone's looking at it, may not know what it symbolizes, but can see the emotion of it. I mean, that just shows the strong bond that the two of you, all the things that were going on behind the curtains, the hard work, the sacrifice. It sounds like it all kind of came together. And it sounds like probably that's the words that I'm hearing you describe, Giorgina.
Oh, thank you.
And then, one of the books from one of the top world relationship experts, John Gottman, which I refer to him quite often. I had the pleasure to receive training from him. He discussed in his book, The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work, that turning towards each other means connecting with one's spouse, being there for each other during the minor events in each other's life, and responding favorably to one's spouse's bids for affection and attention and humor or support. So, we all want to know, right? Such high-powered position, serious work. How do you incorporate fun and humor and affection in your marriage?
Well, it is funny because we actually joke with each other all the time, and it's funny because our families are like, they like to joke. So, for example, in my family, we love karaoke. So every time that we go to my family, any parties or anything like that, we have to play karaoke. So he has to play, by the way. I think that when he retires, he can start singing. So, we joke with each other. We talk about stories when we were little, and we pick on each other, okay, where you got that thing? What are your eyes? Where are your eyes? So we pick on each other in a good way, though.
So anyone who knows Latin culture, cutting each other or cutting up with each other and joking around, stuff like that is part of it. Actually, sometimes it goes to the extreme where actually it offends some of us. We can offend each other, but so having fun, music, eating, adult drinks, I think is part of our culture.
I don't drink.
And she doesn't drink, which is the funny thing. But I think in our relationships, our families have always been part of that. They've actually contributed to us getting to know each other more. I look at her brothers as my brothers. I look at, her nephews and nieces as my nephews and nieces, and that's how they call me uncle. So I think that's been part of it. That fun part, actually from her family side more than mine even. I think that's what kept us fun.
And it's funny because when I go to his house, especially during the holidays, they like to roast a pig. So in the most interesting ways. So it was shocking for me because I was a city girl. So when I saw how they did it, I was like, oh my God, what is that? And so they put it on and take it to a, what do you call that?
You roast it, basically. You turn it and turn it. That's the old way that we used to do it. But yeah, that was a shocker for her.
Yeah. So it was funny because it was fun. So I became part of it. So I will go and put my rollers and all the stuff, and I will go and do the stuff like that. And people were picking on me. Hey, I'm gonna take a picture and put it on social media. You with your rollers giving them to the people. And I was like, don't do that. I kill you. But we pick on each other in a very nice way. His brother, incredible. They're funny. And we always talk, and sometimes I start talking in Spanish, thinking that I'm talking to them in English, and they're like, "Mira, you're talking in Spanish and in English." Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So, but it's fun. I mean, we talk about stories when we were little, so that our grandkids and our kids can, see how we have fun, and we always talking, even when we're driving. He's like, you know what I was thinking the other day? I was thinking about what we did when we were little, and I was with my dad, and we always talk about that. So it's fun.
My dad, he's passed away, but he was Puerto Rican, so I'm very familiar with those pig roasts. It was it could be traumatizing, but we used to have them as pets, and then they disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have a few minutes to close, and I think this is really important. A couple of things that I heard you say, and that's allowing the younger generation to see the two of you having fun and to love each other. And I think that's huge, just to have real role models in our family. So I'm wondering, in closing, what can you each share to inspire husbands or wives or just those that want to find true love in their life? What could you share with us?
Communicate. And whenever there's something that bothers you that you may not feel good about before you go to bed, try to settle it, or at least reach some type of compromise so that you can at least finalize that discussion. If not that night, the very next day. Don't let things boil to the point where you may say the wrong thing or do something that you may regret later because you allowed your emotions to get the best of you. I have had to learn that, in all honesty, myself in life, to be able to understand and accept that you should never go to bed angry.
So to give you my opinion, I think the first, faith, respect, communication, love each other no matter what, and accept each other no matter what.
You know, I just want to thank you both for taking your time tonight, opening up your home and your life so that we can inspire other people that true love does exist. And, you know, we just hope that this show has inspired you in your relationship, your marriage, or your pursuit to find love, because real meaningful love does exist. And one of the most important decisions that you will ever make in your life is who you will marry. Thank you again, Orlando, Giorgina. And until next time, this is your host, Janie Lacey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Let's Talk About It can be heard live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Please join your host, Dr. Janie Lacey, for another edition of the show next week.